As we all have been used to by now, there are many stories where the MC can steal, copy, or absorb abilities. I've been looking lately for specifically this kind of stories to find if there is something readable at least. And here are 10 manga and manhwa with this sort of setup. So without any further ado, let's open the box. Number 10. Living in this world with cut and paste. In a typical fantasy world, people gain skills that determine their futures when they turn 15. The MC is an orphan who one day goes to the capital's temple to receive the blessing of God in a form of skills. Luckily, he gets a skill that allows him to see others' information, which is considered a taboo to do in the first place. But he also gets two other skills, which are cut and paste. Cut allows him to literally slice and chop things for materials, while paste lets him glue things together. Not much later, that he becomes aware of the fact that he can cut and paste other skills. The story is full of cliché moments, so don't expect so much from it, and the MC isn't a badass, but he is kind-hearted, which makes good people surround him. While the MC could be off-putting for many since he isn't a killing machine, still he is a good boy who is discovering the world with dangerous skills, which make him fear the pain of loneliness that would come to him if others know about them. The art style is passable and the pace isn't that rushed, knowing that the MC can just steal others' abilities. This could fit for some of your free time. Number 9. Dungeon Seeker. The MC is a high school student who is bullied on a daily basis. One day, he and his childhood friend alongside the bullies are transported to a room where they meet a god who puts them in a fantasy world because he's bored. Afterwards, the bullies get good stats and jobs. The MC remains jobless and his childhood friend becomes a villager girl. After they fail to be up to the expectations of the king who technically summoned them, they all get thrown to a poor village. One day, the MC is betrayed by the bullies and also his childhood friend who sold her body for protection and safety. The MC finds himself in a labyrinth that has 0% of survival rate, but he doesn't give up and uses his brain to survive. Now, as the god told him, because he's jobless he needs to kill monsters and take their skills. He started with literally nothing, but it's time for him to become absolutely OP while even abandoning his humanity so that he makes it out alive and takes revenge on the traitors. Oh wait. He is betrayed and thrown into a dungeon, gets a gun and abandons humanity for power? Isn't this Arifreta? Well, the art is quite peculiar and we all know how a story of revenge goes. The leveling up is interesting and it's a short, completed manga, so try it out. Number 8. Position Dystopiary. In an advanced fantasy world where people are born with special abilities, the MC as a subjugator is responsible of defeating the revived demon overlord. But as always, the hero faces hurdles and hardships and even loses comrades on the way, which makes him or her even stronger. You know, when they go yeah and use the power of friendship to incomprehensibly become stronger. But something is different about this story. What if the death of his comrades literally makes him stronger because of his ability and not through the power of friendship? This is the story of a strange hero who travels with various teammates through his journey and witnesses their death over and over just so he gets stronger and beats the demon lord. The MC is cold-blooded and nonchalant, and that helps him to hide his true ability from the numerous companions along the way. The story is not that special, but its core idea is interesting. The world building is lively just like the characters are. Following this weird hero's adventures might be worth your while, as you will get slowly to know about him and his secrets. Number 7. Berserk of Gluttony. In a fantasy world where people have skills and super abilities, the MC has a useless skill called gluttony that causes him only to feel hungry all the time. He works as a gatekeeper and gets dishonored frequently, but one day, after killing a bandit, the skill gluttony that he thought was a total hindrance activates, granting him all the skills and stats from the one he killed. He starts a new life and acquires a suitable weapon for himself, which is a conscious weapon that chooses its master. And just like that, he goes on hunting down monsters and even humans from time to time, increasing his power infinitely, but at the cost of his sanity and hunger control. He realizes that he needs to kill more the stronger he becomes to stay alive and not die from starvation, which at least makes his OP ability balanced a little. The story is passable as it gets more interesting while digging in more chapters, and the art is good. The MC is decisive and courageous, well, at least after he learns about his ability. The side characters are quite irrelevant, but this kind of stories usually focus more on the growth of the MC. It deserves a try, I'd say. Number 6. Return of the Shattered Constellation. The story begins with the MC who loses a war between gods and gets demoted and sent to the underworld to meet the king of that place, who offers him a deal which the MC happily agrees to. The deal is to hunt down some gods, which is kind of the expertise of the MC who was known as an evil god. After that, the MC goes back to Earth when he was only a pro gamer, but after Earth has become a place full of dungeons and players. Now, with his knowledge and experience as the Twilight of Gods, the MC speedruns his growth and becomes even stronger than his past self. So far, the story is not that special, but the MC is a badass who wouldn't hesitate in killing whoever targets him. It's also funny how he messes with great constellations and exploits their interest in him for his own benefit. The art is nice and the fights are dope, and the abilities the MC gets on his way to the top are satisfying, especially the ability that allows him to absorb souls and energy. Give it a try. Number 5. The unfavorable job appraiser is actually the strongest. In this world, everybody is born with a job that determines their lives. The MC is an appraiser whose only worth is to evaluate materials and be a trash collector. He is bullied and overworked by his colleague adventurers. One day, they decide to use him as a paralyzed bait in a dungeon, yet they fail to even kill the monsters and thus run away, leaving him behind to be a meal for the monsters. After he barely gets control of his body back, he runs away deeper in the dungeon till he reaches a dead end. He decides to throw himself over the edge to at least have a comfortable death, but he wakes up to find himself in front of a majestic and phenomenal tree, with his wounds healed like nothing has happened. After he gets another near-death experience while trying to leave that place, he finally meets the ones who saved him. He then comes to know of their identity and the power he was bestowed on that will change his fate completely. After the MC lived his life as a mere appraiser, it is time now to show the world that his job is actually the strongest, especially when he becomes able to copy skills. The MC is cheerful and kind even though he hasn't led an easy life, and that might be thanks to the people who save him, who are just as kind-hearted. The artwork is acceptable and the story is passable. If you're looking for an MC who is weak at first but becomes OP afterwards, then try this one out. Number 4. Solo Max Level Newbie. The main character is a streamer who did nothing but play in a dead virtual reality game for the last 11 years and doing mukbang. Many people already gave up on the game, but the MC is one of the few who didn't stop, till he eventually completes the game. Right after his impossible achievement, a notification pops up, alarming him with a system update after 12 hours. He logs out with the intention of quitting streaming and playing the game, but when he wakes up next day, he gets surprised by the notification of the updated system that manifests in the real world, not in the game. Reality has become the game he alone completed. He quickly accepts the new reality since his mind is still connected with the game he finished yesterday, and with that mindset he goes on his journey of monopolizing the best items and skills. He succeeds in obtaining the best ability in the game, which allows him to copy and fuse abilities, of course, with reasonable restrictions. The story is not something new, but it's always fun to watch the MC solo his way to the top while becoming insanely OP. His personality is cocky, but that comes from his 11 years of dedication, and the art is great as well. Very few would find this one as a waste of time. Number 3. Skeleton Soldier couldn't protect the dungeon. This one is kinda complicated, but to put it simply, the story revolves around a skeleton that somehow goes back to a certain point in the past every time he dies while trying to protect someone he cherishes. He suffers many deaths, and every time he goes to the past, his level resets to 1, but his stats remain intact, which gives him not only the advantage of knowledge about the future, but also the power to back it up. He gains many abilities over time, and one of them allows him to absorb others' abilities, but that comes only after diving in the manhwa for many chapters. The story is decent, but it might be a tedious read for some of you because of the repetitiveness of his attempts to solve a problem. But at least he develops and learns from his mistakes, which makes it interesting to keep following his journey. The art is not that good at first, but it gets much better as the story goes on. The characters are well thought and written too. Try reading it bit by bit for better appreciation. Number 2. Talent Swallowing Magician. The MC is the successor of a prestigious family that helped greatly in protecting the empire from demons. But unfortunately, his family met its fall down after the war, and even the MC's parents died, leaving him and his sister behind. After he makes up his mind to restore the status and the honor of his family, he comes to know that he is unable to use magic, which depresses him greatly. He tries every way possible to fix himself and even attends a magic academy, but to no avail. Yet, even under the pressure of failure and mockery from others, the MC doesn't give up and acts confident as the intelligent young man he is. But one day, on an exploration mission in a dragon nest, the MC faces a disaster that threatens his life and almost gets his body stolen from him. Yet, he doesn't give up at all, till the heirloom of his family interferes and grants him the ability to swallow demons, starting with the Demon King that is trying to possess his body. The MC is a crazy badass, and the side characters so far are lively and interesting. The story seems to be deeper, so there are some secrets to unfold, and the artwork is simply amazing. This one is still new, but it has so much potential, so give it a look. Number 1. Reincarnated as a sword. While Fran, a cat girl that was enslaved, was on her way to be sold, a monster attacks their carriage and kills most of the slaves and their traders. When Fran thinks she's dead, she stumbles on a glorious sword that talks. With the help of the great sword, she kills the monster, gets freed from enslavement, and then starts her journey with the sword. That's when we know about the identity of the magical sword. It or he was a man who lived in modern Japan but died in an accident and got reincarnated in this fantasy world as a sword. The funny thing is that as soon as he learned about the fact that he can move by himself, he started casually going around and freely killing monsters and absorbing their powers and abilities. After days of roaming around, he gets stuck in the ground and just waits there, hoping for a beauty to come and pull him out. And after weeks, Fran finally finds him. The story isn't much different from what we've seen in other similar stories, but the characters are enjoyable to read and the evolution of his abilities and comradeship with his wielder are worth following. The art is nice too, so give it a try. Well, I hope you guys found something to read, and as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more videos like this one, so I can say my favorite word in the world. 素晴らしい. See you again when opening another box.